The excitement is in the air at Woody's Lodge as members gather for their much-anticipated trip to Bletchley Park, the historic site of Britain's World War II code-breaking efforts. The lodge is filled with friendly chatter and the comforting aroma of tea and coffee as everyone enjoys a warm drink to shake off the chill of the day. They eagerly wait for the coach to pull up and whisk them away on a journey into history. It's a perfect start to what promises to be an enlightening and memorable day.
Can't beat a good brew, that's what I say.
Hope you ain't filming me.
Of course I am.
No. I wonder what it was when you were filming it up.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to Bletchley Park, home of the codebreakers. Just a few important items to tell you. If you can bring all your belongings off the coach because it won't be remaining on site. The coach will be leaving at 1600 hours this afternoon, and that will pick you up from where you are now. Your annual passes, which I will give you on your way out, are valid for a year. You just need to sign and print your name on the reverse and bring some form of ID with yourself. We'll give you maps with a suggested route on your way out. When you get off the coach, if you can make your way down to the last lamppost, we'll be taking you in through Block C, where there's a gift shop, coffee shop, toilets. Any problems and you find somebody with a scarf like myself, just ask and they'll help you. Enjoy your visit.
That night, when the children arrived, the RAF house. 1941. Britain is under siege. When the Africa Corps make their last move, the Allies are waiting. Allied leaders turn their attention to the invasion of occupied Europe. The German defenses on the French coast are impermeable. There is only one way to break through. Surprise.
Quick wander around the gift shop.
Both sets of service stairs on the bus, I thought, well, I was on the seat for you.
What's that say on there then? It's a puzzle for you to do.
Welcome.
Where's the C?
The puzzle-like inscription symbolizes the intellectual and strategic triumphs of these individuals, whose work is credited with shortening the war by several years and saving countless lives. The monument serves as a reminder of the power of collaboration, ingenuity, and perseverance in the face of adversity.
I think it's solve.
It's codebreakers, LVE solve.
It can't be codebreaker because there's no C.
No, that. You got
It's
that.
so you got solve, yeah.
Or solved. It's a LVE and then a D at the bottom.
Solve.
It's amazing, you'd think they'd have a hell of a lot more antennas and things.
Yeah.
The monument at Bletchley Park with the phrase, "We solved war," is a tribute to the incredible achievements of the codebreakers who worked there during World War II. Bletchley Park, located in Buckinghamshire, England, was the central site for British cryptographers who deciphered enemy codes, including the famous Enigma machine used by the Germans.
You take this route because you're in a wheelchair, you see. Yeah, and then you've got to get around that.
Yes.
Let's go in.
That was a German teleprinter.
Yeah. Machine, is it? Yeah, Z42 cipher attachment machine.
It was a bit like the Enigma because they had wheels like that on it, didn't
Eh?
they? The Enigma had.
Yeah.
During World War II, Bletchley Park's codebreakers assigned fish-themed code names to German teleprinter communication systems. These systems, used by the German High Command to send encrypted messages, were vital for military operations. The British referred to these encrypted transmissions as fish, with specific systems given names like Tunny, for the Lorenz cipher machine, and Sagefish, Sawfish. These code names helped the Allies organize their efforts to intercept and decrypt critical German communications, providing invaluable intelligence that contributed to the war effort.
That is an amazing statue, isn't it?
It is, yes.
The British Intelligence Service, formally established in 1909 as the Secret Service Bureau, evolved significantly during the early 20th century. By 1914, with the outbreak of World War I, its foreign section, later known as MI6, began collaborating closely with military intelligence. During World War II, Bletchley Park became the epicenter of British code-breaking efforts. Initially a Victorian mansion, it was transformed into the headquarters of the Government Code and Cipher School, the GC and CS. The site housed brilliant minds like Alan Turing, who developed groundbreaking techniques to decrypt German Enigma and Lorenz ciphers. These efforts provided critical intelligence, known as Ultra, which significantly influenced the war's outcome. Post-war, Bletchley Park's operations were classified until the 1970s. Today, it stands as a museum and heritage site, celebrating its pivotal role in cryptography and intelligence history. During World War II, Y stations were British signals intelligence collection sites. They intercepted enemy radio communications, including encrypted messages, and passed them to Bletchley Park for decoding. These stations played a crucial role in gathering intelligence, such as locating enemy positions through direction finding and analyzing communication patterns. Block A at Bletchley Park is part of the historic site that showcases the incredible work of World War II codebreakers. It features exhibitions that highlight the early days of code breaking, the expansion of operations, and the pivotal breakthroughs that contributed to the Allied victory. Visitors can explore the stories of the people who worked there and the technologies they developed, which laid the foundation for modern computing and intelligence.
Okay.
Pop that for the AI.
Okay, we've done the AI.
Oh, right, then if you just turn right.
Yeah, we'll come back up here again.
All right, gentlemen.
Follow the arrows.
I arrived at Bletchley Park when I was just 17 years old, eager to contribute to the war effort. My job involved carefully copying out important details from intercepted German submarine communications, known as signals. These U-boat messages were often encrypted and crucial for Allied operations. The information I extracted played a vital role in helping track enemy movements, plan countermeasures, and protect vital shipping routes during the Battle of the Atlantic. Despite my young age, I took great pride in being part of the groundbreaking intelligence work at Bletchley Park.
The plotting room at Bletchley Park was a pivotal hub for naval intelligence during World War II. Within its walls, military and intelligence officers worked tirelessly to monitor the positions and movements of both Allied and enemy ships. Large maps and plotting tools covered the room, where intercepted enemy communications, often decoded at Bletchley Park, were translated into real-time visual representations of naval operations.
next.
This detailed
Yeah.
tracking allowed
Convoy
strategists
number
to understand enemy
S12,
intentions,
2.
anticipate attacks,
Yeah.
and effectively coordinate Allied
A
countermeasures.
group of 28 ships
The information gathered
has
in the
moved
plotting
position.
room
We
proved
already know
essential
this
for
route,
major
but we
operations
need to
like the
know
Battle of
exactly
the
where it
Atlantic,
is.
where
Update
protecting
the map
supply
with convoys
convoys
in
from
position.
German U-boats was
Next.
critical. By combining
Convoy,
cutting-edge intelligence with
182,
meticulous
there you go.
plotting, the room became a
So,
key link
tap
between
it,
Bletchley
drag
Park's
it,
code breakers
let's say
and the
move it
wider
up here
Allied
somewhere.
war effort. It was a space where raw data from intercepted signals was transformed into actionable intelligence, helping to turn the tide of the war at sea.
1938, June. Admiral Sinclair's got a great friend called Captain Faulkner. Captain Faulkner is a property developer, not a very good property developer, because he's purchased Bletchley Park from the family of Sir Herbert Leon. He died in 1921. This was a big estate. Now, I talk to Americans, so you have to be careful, because to them this is a postage stamp, yeah? But big estate. 53 acres of this parkland here was 53 acres of it. It was big. Anybody that knows Blenheim, which is still there, it's that sort of size. It's Blenheim size, it's very big. 53 acres of parkland, also some farmland. And Faulkner has purchased it from the family, because Sir Herbert died, and just over £6,000. Imagine that. But that was a lot of money those days. What the average worker earned a year? About 2 or 300 set up. The ground floor, nothing like code breaking on the ground floor. They needed large rooms because one of the systems they used was very, very large tables that were covered in glass. So glass tops. They used to have a powerful light underneath, and they used to buy pre-perforated huge sheets of paper from a company in Banbury. And what you do, there'd be a circle printed on them, and you just push your finger through and it knock the circle out. You know what I mean? So you've got these. So they have an encoded message, and they would transfer it onto the sheet. And then, if they worked out what they thought was a solution, they would then do another sheet. And by putting one sheet over the other with the light underneath, they could see which one's lined up in a flash. That's what that was for. That was why they needed a lot of room here. But they were also looking at Enigma, trying to break that mathematically, mathematicians. But if we involve everybody, we keep repeating ourselves and we'll be here forever. So the ground floor, left-hand side of the bay window, Commander Dennison. His office is set up so he's looking into the building, not this lovely vista. This middle bit here only survived because he insisted they didn't build on this middle bit. So there was a bit of parkland that people work in here, because most of the work they did was repetitive and boring, and it drove some of them almost out of their minds. It was somewhere they could have a cigarette, relax, have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. They had that. And like Churchill over there was kind enough to put a tennis court up. There are propaganda pictures of people using this tennis court. And they were given some homework to do that night. Charlotte went to barracks nearby. Sarah Baring went from Claridge's Hotel to the attic of a house in the town. Yeah, that must come as a shock. And they were introduced to lots of new friends. Of course, their new friends were all MI5 and MI6 people. Yeah, young ladies who helped them with their homework. Came back the next day, was questioned by this captain. This captain questioned them on what they had to learn by heart. He seemed satisfied. He then got up suddenly, marched round the desk, took his cap off the desk and put it on his head, and got uncomfortably close and said, "If I ever see or hear you doing anything at Bletchley that you shouldn't be doing, I would personally bloody well shoot you. Do you understand, miss?" Both women, it gets me, both women quote him word for word. It's got to be the same guy. They both said they stepped back because he was much too close, and they said when he stepped back and they looked on the desk where his hat had been, now was his service revolver. It was obviously under his hat. Because what you're saying to him is, what's the penalty in war for espionage? The wrought iron gates, what you can't really see, the pillars holding the gates up are normally about this wide. These are this wide. And the reason is they're hollow. It's where the sentries were. You know? The armed guards were up there. On the gates it had Foreign Office. Everybody that worked here knew they were working for the Foreign Office. What he didn't know was what section of the Foreign Office. So you got that, and it worked perfectly well. Must have done, because we won the war. Okay. Now, I want to move away from that now. There was two types of code breaking here. One was called industrial code breaking, and the other was a cottage industry, taken from, a blacksmith working at home is called cottage industry, and however, a huge factory making knives and forks is industrial. So they used the same titles because code breaking was done on that two sides. So there was a cottage industry, in other words, and cottage industry mainly looked at other secret services. But if you were looking at Army, Navy, Air Force as the enemy, then that was done on the industrial side. Let's introduce you to a man called Billy Knox, who ran a cottage industry department. One of these brilliant Cambridge scholars again. Anybody that speaks Polish here, I do apologise before I start. All right, I'll do my best I can. Cottage 3. It says Dilwyn Knox, Dilly Knox. 1943, it says he died unfortunately, his service here. He was a cancer sufferer. He was a brilliant Greek scholar who was a great friend of Commander Denison. He'd served in the First World War with Denison when the Royal Navy Intelligence Code breaking, then the Government Code and Cipher School, and of course came here. Eccentric to the point where he would not work with other guys. He would only accept female officers, and they were very good. He was in there with 12 ladies. Now, mum, dad, 2 children, a cat and a dog, and you're pushed for room. How they worked in there is beyond me, because it's a tiny cottage, which was obviously the Victoria owners. It was his staff cottage. He was in there. He was the senior code breaker here, and basically his ladies used to look at other secret services. And in 1941, the Italians at this navy decided to ambush the convoy, a British convoy. It was a convoy actually supplying the Royal Navy, just south of Crete. And Mavis Levy, one of his ladies, broke this message. It was an intelligence message. I don't think it was an Enigma message, but she broke it. Quite a feat on her own. Admiral of the Fleet, Mediterranean, Admiral Cunningham, was warned about this. He set to sea the day earlier from the Mediterranean Fleet, left Alexandria. They got in position just west of Crete, where this ambush is going to be. The Italian fleet hoved in that next morning at daybreak, except they were to the east, so the sun was behind them. The British fleet, from their point of view, could not be seen. They opened fire, the British, destroyed almost the total Italian surface fleet, because the Italians made a silly mistake of sending almost everybody. Prince Philip was there, bless him. He wrote in his memoirs, it was sickening, it was bloody murder. Yeah. Now, the Italians actually still had quite an effective submarine fleet, and of course they had frogmans, but it made a big difference because basically we didn't have to worry about capital warships anymore. It was always a group. He made a massive improvement, no two ways about it, and made it work for 1940, but nevertheless it was the Poles who started it off. Yeah. And then, I hate to say so, the Americans made some brilliant improvements as well. We all did. We all worked as a group, allies. Anyway, let's go down now. So this was cottage industry code breaking right now, but down at the huts, that was industrial code breaking, and there was code breaking on a massive scale. But this always had a part to play during the war. Would send the battle for the next 24 hours. They would start at midnight every night, and a bulk of the messages between midnight and 6 in the morning would be sent by radio, basically, not by landline, because once they started moving into other territories, they used radio. Heavily encrypted, obviously. Our wife stations, listening stations, the individuals working in pairs would pick all this up, get all the information, sent by teleprinter then straight to Bletchley Park. And then dispatch riders, the ladies who did the dispatch riding, would collect all the paperwork after that, and within 24 hours all the paperwork would be here. So that's how it worked. So they got it. Intelligence people would would be given this paperwork if it was in their remit, and they would know. Now, Enigma does not do numerals, so if you want to put a serial number, you've got to spell out the letter. And the most common numeral you see in any serial number is the number 1, Eins. There was somebody who spent 5 years looking for letter for Eins, had no idea why. That's how it went. I can't imagine, it must have drove you mad, but it's so important. So, it would be Eins, would be the first one, would be serial number, it would be serial number. Then it would be the date and time, or time and date, whichever way they got it. And then who to, who from. Often the intelligence will tell that, so you know what the top line is. And you also, if you knew who to from, you know who's likely to sign at the bottom. So you've got the predictive set of rows. So they're back to seeing flowers again, and they take Turing's theory paper on computers, because they know that flowers, and it's very secret, the GPO at the time was working on first computerised telephone exchanges. I always say to Americans, you were so far behind us, because they claim they were, but they weren't. Flowers, I don't think really wanted to get involved, but he did. Anyway, they hear nothing from him. So you're talking about basically 1942. They hear nothing from him until Christmas 1943, and he comes up with this machine. It's a computer purely to try to find these settings. It's not a computer, it's in a sense we're sitting there. Goes down to block B, doesn't work. He takes it back to London. He then turns back up here 2 weeks before D-Day, which is June the 6th, as you know, 1944, and he's got 2 machines. They look at the latest intercepts from Berlin, from Hitler. They also look at intercepts from some of the German generals and admirals they know about, and it shows the settings on the machine, and they read them. It's so successful on D-Day, Eisenhower and Montgomery are being briefed before the German generals are, and admirals, on the German general and admiral's own orders from Hitler. And that's why we always had the edge. And if you think of it, the war finished very quickly after that, didn't it? And as historians say, the reason was we were in the mind of Hitler, because he was still trying to run luckily for us, he was still trying to run the war himself, and he wasn't. He didn't leave it to his generals. If he left it to his generals, I've got a feeling it might have been a different outcome. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's Bletchley Park in a nutshell. Cole's getting to me in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home, country road.